Comeback Player of the Year. What an absolute joke this award is. Welcome everybody to JJ9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Garrett, and I'm representing the 904 from the 602. And today, we are talking about the entire voting process for Comeback Player of the Year just announced last night during NFL Honors. Joe Flacco taking home first place, the Cleveland Browns quarterback. Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills safety, coming in second place. Now look, I've talked about this award many times before on this channel. You guys probably know my thoughts on it if you see my channel before, so I'm not going to be the dead horse here. This is not the video that you think it's going to be. You probably know my thoughts on this if you see my videos or you follow me on Twitter. All I'll say is this: a man comes back from the dead, he should win the award over a man who was just bad, came back from being off his couch, admitted prior to the season starting that he was in good shape, played in as many games as Hamlin, so if you're saying that Hamlin didn't play in enough games, Flacco and Hamlin both played in 5 games, and conceded the award to Hamlin a few weeks ago, but I digress. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that the rest of this process is absolutely shambolic. How on earth did people vote Hamlin anything other than first or off the ballot? Look, I get both lines of thought. I don't agree with it, but I get both lines of thought. Either he came back from the dead, which is something that no other NFL player has done, and if he took one snap, he got the award since this was unprecedented. Or you could say, you know what? He didn't do anything. He barely played, he was a healthy scratch, he made 2 tackles all season, and therefore he did not deserve the award. If you want to say for Comeback Player of the Year, okay, you had to come back from something, period, you're good. If you want to say you had to come back from something and you had to play well, that's fine as well. But how can you put him in second or third or fourth or anything like that? If the criteria is come back from adversity, he's number 1. Since he literally died, there is nothing more adverse than coming back from being dead. If the criteria is coming back and playing well, he's not on the list because he didn't play well. He only had 2 tackles. But I don't see under any criteria how he can get a vote that's not first. It's like in the Baseball Hall of Fame when guys don't fill out the full 10 candidates for the ballot and they say, well, this guy isn't a Hall of Famer this year. I'm not voting for him this year, but he is next year. How does that make any sense under any criteria? What changed? What possible criteria are you going off of? It makes no sense whatsoever. The other thing I want to talk about with this award, John Metchie, the Texans wide receiver. He came back from leukemia. We didn't know if he was ever going to play in the NFL ever again. He came back from major adversity. He played in every single game for Houston this past season, and he contributed a bit. He played in all 16 games, which, by the way, is more than 3 times the number of games that Flacco played in. He had some catches and whatnot. He didn't have a lot, but he did do something. You know how many votes he got? He got 0. He got 0 votes across the entire voting system. Calvin Ridley came back from gambling. Calvin Ridley made a personal choice to undermine the integrity of the NFL by placing bets. And again, I've talked about Ridley before. I've talked about betting before. I think betting should be a 1 strike and you're out policy. I know I'm a Jaguars fan. I like having Ridley on my team. But I think that if I was commissioner of the NFL, gambling for me would be a 1 strike you're out policy. It's a bad precedent to have. Anyway, Calvin Ridley came back from gambling. He got a vote. He got a vote. Explain how Ridley, for a personal choice that he made that undermined the integrity of the league, and for doing something that was illegal and prohibited by league rules, got more votes than a man who almost died and battled back from leukemia. Imagine if at work, your company awards Employee of the Month to a man who had a decent month after being fired from the company for 2 years for violating the number 1 rule of the company, which is sharing classified information. And you give it to him over a man who did a good job, but came back after missing the past few months to undergo cancer treatment. That's what this is like. How in any logical universe does Calvin Ridley, for a personal choice, not coming back from injury, not coming back from poor performance because he was a good receiver with Atlanta, but from a personal choice that he made to gamble on games, how does he get a vote over John freaking Metchie? The problem with this award is that it needs criteria. There are 50 different voters playing by 50 completely different sets of rules, and it makes for an award that is now completely meaningless. Most valuable player, it's easy. who do you think was the most valuable player to their specific team, to the success of the team this season? Offensive player of the year, who do you think was the best player on offense this year? Defensive player of the year, who do you think was the best defensive player in the league this year? Offensive rookie of the year, who do you think was the best rookie on offense this year? Defensive rookie of the year, you get the idea. Coach of the year, who do you think was the best coach this year? Comeback player of the year, what does it mean? There's some voters who think it's about coming back from injury, some who think it's about performance, some who think you don't even have to come back from being bad or being injured in the case of Calvin Ridley, in the case of Lamar Jackson who got a vote, some who don't even think you have to come back from anything. What does this award mean? Again, 50 different voters who have 50 different sets of criterias who think it's about 5 or 6 or 7 different things, and it leads to a confusing award where no one really knows what the heck is going on. Making it even more confusing was the fact that Flacco won it, even though Damar Hamlin had nearly double the first place votes. It's a 5-3-1 voting system, so it's 5 points for first place, 3 points for second place, 1 point for third place. It's ranked like that. Making that even more confusing is the fact that Hamlin had way more first place votes than Flacco did and still lost out on the award, despite the fact that the two men had roughly the same number of votes in first, second, and third combined. It's just a bizarre process. Again, if you want to say Flacco over Hamlin, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. Flacco played well in those 5 games. At the same time, though, how does Hamlin get votes for anything other than first? If you're either going to have Hamlin on there, either put him at first or don't put him on the ballot. How does John Metchie not get a vote? But Calvin Ridley, of all people, does. It's a sham. The whole system needs serious reworking, and comeback player of the year needs to have a defined set of criteria for 2025, because right now, no one knows what the heck is going on. It's like, whose line is it anywhere? Nothing matters. Nothing matters with this voting system whatsoever. But what are your thoughts on comeback player of the year? Do you think that the voters got it right or wrong? What do you think the criteria should be for comeback player of the year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, JaguarGator9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is JaguarGator9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.